Okay, I know I haven't done any updates and I'm so overdue for one, but believe me, I've already recorded 2 and there's something wrong with my camera. It just messes it up. So the first, this will be my 1 month postpartum update. That's Benji back there. I don't know if you can see him in the mirror. He's sleeping right now, thank God. But we had some really bad things happen in this month and also some wonderful things. He is great. We're getting along just great. It's really fun getting to know him. And for the first 2 weeks, he was an angel, honestly. He slept so well. I had so much milk. I was breastfeeding so well. He was latching wonderfully. But it turns out all of the advice that I've received at the hospital and from everybody else doesn't apply to me. I was told, you know, like they thought maybe my milk wouldn't come in because I had the hemorrhage after, you know, he was born, and I have hypothyroidism, which delays the milk as well. So they told me to pump after every single time I nursed him. So I was doing that, and then when the milk came in, it came in at full force, like so heavy, and I was drowning him pretty much. So I would lay him like kind of like in a football position with his face up like this, so it'd be easier for him to, you know, nurse. And I would just nurse every time he wanted for as long as he wanted. And all of a sudden, maybe like on the 2nd week, he started puking. But I'm not talking about spit up, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about a little spit up or even a lot of spit up. I'm talking about full on projectile vomit, like a lot. Like pretty much everything he ate. Actually, one day I nursed him. I had just weighed him, and then I nursed him, and then he puked, and I weighed him again, and he puked exactly everything I nursed him, like he was back the same weight. But then the thing is, a couple of times after he puked, what happened was he wouldn't breathe. Like the first time I was by myself, and I, you know, hit his back, and it was super scary. I cried, it was horrible. But I told everybody what happened, and they thought, oh, maybe he just choked on the milk or something. And I was just like freaking out because I was the mom and whatever. And then it happened again a couple of days later, and my mom was here, and my sister was with me as well, and my friend who's a lifeguard, and so she's all CPR trained and everything. She knows what to do in this kind of situations. And it was horrible. Like I was calm at first. I'm kind of calm in these kind of situations when it first happened. He was just like laying against my chest because I had a feeling he had reflux. So he was just like laying on my chest, and I was like, you know, going like this on his back to make him burp. He was almost falling asleep, and all of a sudden he just puked this yellow liquid out, which was, I found out later, was milk and all the stomach acids, the gastric acids, which probably burned the shit out of his esophagus. And immediately, same thing happened again. He goes like bright red, like as a beet, and his body goes super stiff, and he arches his back, and he looked so scared. It was so terrifying. I'm able to talk about it now, but it was really bad. His eyes were like wide open, his mouth was wide open, and he just would not breathe, he would not cry. He would just stay there like stiff and looking like terrified, and we're just like trying to make him breathe again, and he's not. And trust me, I'm hitting him hard in his back, and he's not, nothing is coming out, and he's not breathing. So I started freaking out. My God, he's not breathing, he's not breathing. I gave him to my mom and my friend who's certified, and they started trying to help him too. So it's not like he wouldn't breathe the whole time. He would like not breathe for like 15 seconds, and then let out one cry, and then not breathe again for another 15 seconds, let out one cry, and that cycle he just wouldn't break from that cycle, and nothing would come out. My mom tried sucking his nose and his mouth. Luckily when they did the compressions, they didn't blow on his mouth and nose back in, which, by the way, if your child is choking on liquid, never ever do that, because you're gonna push the liquid into his lungs or her lungs. Later, after this whole thing happened, we ended up doing a CPR class, so I learned a few things, and I'll share with you in a little bit. So he wasn't, nothing was helping. So she started freaking out too. She's like, call 911, he's not breathing, call 911. So I called 911, my sister called the pediatrician. The ambulance luckily is parked because the fire house is close to my house. So they showed up pretty quickly. But I live in a very small town, kind of like in the countryside of Hawaii. So everything is kind of like country here. And the ambulance really wasn't prepared for a tiny little baby like that. Like nothing would fit him. I went in the back with him, just holding him and trying to calm him down. And I almost needed somebody to hold me and calm me down too. My husband went in the front seat, and the EMS lady, she kept trying to she disconnected the tube from the adult mask and tried pushing on his nose and his mouth to suck it out. But since he wouldn't close his mouth, we couldn't suck the mouth, and it wouldn't fit on his nose either. So that was a fail, and he calmed down by the time we got to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, there was a room already ready for him. There were 15 doctors all waiting, and it was just as bad as the actual event because, once again, it's a small hospital that's nearby. They really weren't ready for, a tiny baby. They don't even have a birthing center over there, but they had to stabilize him so they can take us to the other hospital that specializes in kids. But getting blood out of his foot or out of his veins, everything was just terrible. I don't remember if they had the butterfly needles to draw blood or not. I don't remember, but they couldn't get blood out of his vein. They couldn't get blood out of his tooth and out of his foot. And they tried for an hour, and they were squeezing his foot, and he's just doing that acute crying pain, and it was so heartbreaking. It was, seriously, it was terrible. So after that, the hospital that specializes in kids sent an ambulance over and came and picked us up. And we spent 3 days at the hospital. They did the whole observation thing. It didn't happen again, but a few good things happened while we were there. They did a GI tract exam, so to see, if he has reflux. He does have reflux, pretty bad. She said that all babies are born with some sort of reflux because the esophagus muscle is really weak, but his is just worse than normal. They also had a speech therapist come over and listen to him nurse, and turns out he was definitely taking way more milk than he could handle. She's like, wow, I can't believe he's made this far, he didn't choke sooner, because it was, seriously, I have a lot of milk and it just squirts out lots of exit points of milk and sprays, and he was tiny, so from now on I had to, the solutions were, luckily I'm so glad that I saw 2 doctors at Capilano Medical Center, the kids hospital, and both of them were not in favor of giving him Zantac or other medication, which I'm really glad for. I'm not a fan of medication. I feel that there's other ways to solve, problems. If it didn't solve, then I'm totally down to give it to him, but I'm glad that they were willing to try mild changes first. So the changes are, I had to make some cut from my diet. So food-wise, I had to cut all dairy, all soy, which means a lot or most industrialized products. There's only maybe a few granola bars I can have. Other than that, it's all whole foods. I also cannot have cruciferous vegetables, which is Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, etc. I cannot have citrus fruits like oranges, limes, grapefruit, or tomatoes, onions, I guess, are bad. I guess that's all I've cut so far. And the hard one too is I can't nurse sitting like a normal person anymore, like sitting on a chair with the baby across their chest or football hole. I literally have to lay down as if I was gonna go to sleep, and the baby lays across my chest, and this is so it's harder for him to take the milk, so it paces him. And honestly, it's been working. It's been 3 weeks since we've made the changes. And he puked a couple of times, but it wasn't as bad, it wasn't as much, and there was no breathing episode after. It was more like maybe he just ate too much. Oh, and I also have to time how long he nurses for. I can't just let him nurse until whatever. They told me to give it to him for 10 minutes at a time every 2 hours at the hospital. So I was doing that, but he was starving. He was too hungry after. So I kind of, that was 3 weeks ago, right? So they said on the first month, his stomach can take 1 to 2 ounces. And on the second month, it goes up to 4 to 5 ounces. So the changes are pretty fast. So I increased it to 15 minutes at first. Then I increased it to 18 minutes again. And then now I'm letting him nurse as long as he wants, as long as it doesn't pass 20 minutes. So either 20 minutes will hit or he'll give up before that. Which lately, for some reason, he's been stopping every like 9 to 10 minutes and wants to nurse every hour. So I'm letting him, you know, as long as it's small amounts and he wants to do it more frequently, that's okay with me. The problem is when he nurses too much at once, because then he'll just puke everything out. Shit. There was a dog in the road. So, and it's been really helped a lot. And so the thing I was most concerned with was because babies that have reflux, they have a hard time gaining weight. They start to refuse the breast, but he hasn't done that, and I think it's because we made the changes. But I do notice the reflux. It's so heartbreaking. Like, he makes these faces and he's just like, oh, the crying and oh, it sucks, you know. But at least he's gaining weight and he is gonna grow out of it. Oh, and then one more thing that I've done that I researched about was, I guess babies don't have a fully developed digestive system yet. So, should I go? No. They don't have a fully developed digestive system yet. So they don't have a full-on gut flora, for example. So one of the things that I found online is that you can give them probiotics. At first I thought, well, you know, can I really give it to them? But, you know, thinking about it, formula has probiotics, so why wouldn't I be able to give it to him, you know, with milk? So that's what I do. I just pump a little bit of milk, like literally half an ounce, and then mix with this wonderful infant formula of probiotics called Therabiotic. I just bought it on Amazon, and it's really good. And I just started, so I can't say that that's making a whole lot of difference, but for what I've read about it, it is amazing. So hopefully that will be what solves the problem. What else is new? So, you know, ever since then, he's been much better. He gained so much weight. It's so funny because when he was born, he looked straight up like my husband, like all the way. Everybody thought there was nothing of me. And now that he gained some weight, you know, he just looks a little more like a baby, not so much like a newborn. He looks like my sister all the way. It's so funny. But I'm having a blast being a mom, and I'm seriously somehow handling pretty well. I'm not sleep deprived, even though I have to wake up every even hours of the day to feed him. Even at night, you know, like, luckily for me, I fall asleep like super fast. I fall asleep super fast, so I don't, it's not hard for me to like wake up so often at night. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. We finally moved. We finally moved to the new house, and it's looking so good. It's not done yet. We moved with no bathroom. Yeah, and the only reason we were able to do that is because my parents rented the old house, and it's only 2 houses away from mine for the new house. So I can use their bathroom if I need to, which I haven't needed to yet. My husband is working on the bathroom today. That's pretty much it. We're going to the pediatrician right now, and that's it. He's doing great. Let me show you his little face. That's all for today. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.